I just want to thank you guys for all being here today. And I don't know if I know part of you guys, a few of you guys were here last time when we had this. And for the decluttering, the downsizing, the whole gamut of everything, there was just so much to talk about. So we decided that we wanted to just to continue on that note and talk more about the downsizing. We did talk about the decluttering. Downsizing means something to all of us. I mean, everybody, what their thought process on that. Are they moving from, a two-story into a ranch or something like that? Downsizing to somebody might be, again, decluttering, getting some stuff out of your house and everything that you guys aren't using. So, and we are going to pick on a few of you guys out in the crowd today. So just know that. But so let's get going. I kind of like, downsizing without drama. So, I mean, it's definitely stressful and all that, but is downsizing right for you? So we'll get into that today and we'll talk about it. We have a little checklist here. Can everybody see this? I kind of want you guys to just kind of take a mental poll here on this. I have rooms or storage areas I rarely use. Home maintenance feels overwhelming. I want to simplify my lifestyle and reduce stress. I have safety or accessibility concerns. I'm considering moving closer to be near family or services. We see that all the time, especially people trying to get closer to the grandkiddos. I prefer to make my decisions now rather than waiting for somebody else to make the decision on that. So, so you guys just do a mental note on that. Um, Raise your hands if you had at least, if you could say, check at least three of these. Okay. You know, a good portion of you. Whoops. So anyway, so we're gonna go on, and then so what we've done today is we kind of wanted to talk about what are options in our area, like a smaller single family home. This happens to be one that we have listed right now, and it's a ranch. So somebody might be in a two-story and they want to move to a ranch. We've got a few listed right now that don't have basements. You want fewer bedrooms, you want you know you can see here the pros on it, is to maintain your privacy but have a smaller yard. And then just location is very important too. The cons of it, you're still going to be responsible for your maintenance. Now, and I always want to people that if they think the only reason that they need to move out of their house is because they don't want to do yard work, shoot, hire it done. Because if you moved into a community that had HOAs or something, you're still going to be paying for it anyway. So just hire it done. But so anyway, and again, some of the cons might be on some of that is the stairs. So different options, other options that we wanted to talk about, like versus like a one-story or one-story with no basement, condominiums or townhouses. And we're going to talk a little bit about that too when we get into it. And if you guys have questions as we're going through, and this is out in Eastbrook, so you might recognize some of these. This one out here, this particular one right here, we sold a few years ago. And the folks that had bought it, they weren't downsizing, but they fell in love with the unit. Now, the people that did live here, they moved back to be back here from Arizona, and then they moved out to the co-op, and we'll kind of talk about that today as well too. But this one just happens to have, really basically no steps or anything, one step in, and that's all you have. But depending on where you live, you might have like HOAs that are going to take care of, like we had talked about, they're going to take care of your yard work and any maintenance around the property on that. Again, what are the pros of that? No outside maintenance. So if you like to do that, that might not be a good fit for you. a built-in community. You've got neighbors that are close there, but yet you can still have your privacy, nice security, and good equity. Now, this one happens to have, like their HOAs. I believe they're $450 a year, and might be a little cheaper if you do pay it ahead of time. So they have out there. They have the swimming pool and everything. That's kind of the main thing that their HOA goes for out there. So again, what are some of the cons out on that? HOAs can increase, and we found that out from time to time when we're selling a property. Things change, and then because we're used to some of these, and then we find out, oh, so it doesn't cover that. Oh, you got to pay out of pocket for this. So if you ever are downsizing and going into like any place that does have an HOA, make sure that you do find out ahead of time kind of what they have. They're going to have their rules and regulations, and on that too. Any questions so far as we're going through this stuff? Nope. You guys are a good crowd. So this is another example that we're going to give to you guys. That this property here that we've just sold. The gentleman that bought it lives part-time here and part-time in Alaska. So, and he just wanted, his thing was, even though he is a little older, he's still out there working and everything. But his big idea for moving here was just to have basically no maintenance. So he's gone 6 weeks, back 6 weeks, and here and there. Now the little lady, Judy Wagner, did anybody know Judy that's in the crowd? Sweet lady. She downsized from her house into the condo, and I believe she was there, Connie, 6 to 8 years. Am I kind of guessing that about right? And loved it. And she had a little pooch, and she could have her dog there. Not every place will allow pets, and that's one of the things that you might want to think about as well. This one is out in Hunter's Ridge. So when you go, as you're going out where Hy-Vee West is, so if you're going up the side of Hy-Vee West, that takes you right into Pebble Creek. These were built first when they were built out there. So they are so tucked away. So you're going down there, and then you take a right, and then you go down in there. It's either townhouses down there. There's 2 buildings about this size that are all condominiums. So condominiums and townhouses there. This one had, well, I called it 2 bedrooms. So the second bedroom, when these were constructed, and Jenna, did you have that one of Stacy's? How many bedrooms did that have?
That had 2 and a sunroom.
A 2 and a sunroom. This one had, I called it 2. It didn't have, it had a closet, pretty well, but no window. Had a door, had everything. That was a bedroom. The way all the square footages are different out there. But don't you think, Jenna, the max out there is probably 2 bedrooms? Mm-hmm. 2 bedrooms, and maybe you could get 2 baths, because some of those, yours probably had a master on it. Mm-hmm. Can't say that anymore. Primary. Bathroom on it. But in this one, the one good thing about this, and some of these that we're going to show you, and we want you to know there's so many different options. This one happens to have an elevator in it. Not all the units, not all condominiums and everything have elevators. You've got like a chairlift, right? A lift chair that which is kind of nice too, and it just and that's shared between you and the gal on the other side of you, right? And that was that put in by you, and that's basically kind of owned by you guys?
It's the owners before me who had put it in when she both her legs.
Okay, all right.
So I think the agreement was to maybe share it,
right.
But it's all owned by me.
Yep, and Michelle maintain. Okay, and you live out Ambassador, correct? Is that Ambassador?
Yes.
Units out there, out on the southeast side of town. But it's kind of nice when it doesn't. If you have an elevator or anything out there, it's not going to hamper you from moving out there if you don't want to do steps. We have in a condo that we're going to be showing here pretty soon, that we just sold. It's on the, well, it's kind of the ground level is it's a walkout over in the Briarstone area, and then there's 2 levels above that. No elevator steps, but God bless them. There's 2 ladies out there. One's in her 90s and one's in her 80s, and they're on the top floor, and beautiful views and everything. They love being up there, and they say that keeps them young. So they really like that. But to answer, to better answer your question on that, I I'm trying to think if I don't know if there's any 1 bedrooms. Now, the one that I had, somebody might want to call it a 1 bedroom because the other bedroom didn't have a window, but it had everything else. It had French doors that went in there, went into, had another bathroom there. So this actually had 2 baths to it.
I'm just looking at $185,000 really isn't that much.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad. Jenna, what was the one that was a little bit higher? In the twos? 250. Yeah. A little more square footage.
Yeah, extra sunroom.
Yep, extra sunroom, and it was a main level walkout, which somebody,
And the garage
might like
attached
too.
to it, you just walk right into it.
Yep. Yeah, so that's kind of nice too. So on the different places, as you guys are thinking, if you're going to downsize out of your current home into something like this, then again, the things that you want to look for and think about, what are the HOAs include? Most of them will include. Yes.
I know the HOA fee is very low, and one of the things I noticed, it does not include the building insurance.
But
And
it
that is a huge thing. anymore.
yeah. So what it is? Yes, and it's called the exterior. So on this particular run right here, so they have it broken up. They have it broken up as a monthly for that takes care of your water, sewer, garbage, snow removal, lawn care, and all that. And then they have an exterior master policy. And I think this one that we just sold, if I'm remembering, the master policy that she paid was just around $1,000 for the year. And these guys out there can get by with having lower HOAs. If you think about it, the more people you have living in an area and the more units out there, hopefully the lower it should be, because there's, that's going to take care of a lot of that. The more people out there, the more doors you have out there, hopefully the less, because there's only so much, there's only so much yard work. Whether there's 10 people out there or 100 people out there, you've got the same lawn care, you've got the same snow removal, and that might be why theirs are a little less. Michelle, what are yours?
Ours are 235.
235.
But we cover, again, I can't tell you enough about the building insurance. It has skyrocketed in the past 5 years, and then the deductibles have,
Mm-hmm.
we went from $2,500 deductible to 5% of the building value, so now it's 80,000 deductible for wind and hail.
Mm-hmm. And I
So
think,
in other words, it's 20,000 that each one of us pour into the one unit would have to cover, for wind.
right. So the way you're set up out there, and I think most of them, when you get into an HOA, you're going to have a president, a secretary, treasurer, or whatever, maybe a vice president or something. But everybody has to, the majority rules. Am I correct on that? Yeah, on that. So are you participating with more? Am I thinking, are there 2 buildings that kind of play together and 2 other buildings that play together out there?
Yeah, it's kind of strange. Our building is its own association, with only 4.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I
And then
didn't
the
know
one
that.
across from us is another one by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then the 3 other buildings are 3 together. So,
And
yeah.
one thing that, and I'm going to put you on the spot again, and one thing that I think is a little bit unusual about where you live, am I remembering correctly? You can't smoke. You can't smoke out there
No,
in the building.
outside of the
outside, but in your unit, no smoking, which is kind of nice. I'm not a smoker, but if you are, again, that's something that you guys would want to think about, and it might preclude you to actually living there. And pets, you have had pets in the past?
Yeah, small ones.
Yeah, yeah. Because in your building, did Halversons live there? Did they have a little
Yeah.
schnauzer or something, if I'm remembering right? Yeah, yeah. So that's another thing. Judy had a pet at her place, and she probably had to get the little fella and down the elevator and outside when you're living on the third floor. And Jenna's out there too, where you could just walk out if you had a pet there. So anyway, and when you're getting into townhouses or condominiums or different places like that, everybody's got different rules and regulations. And as life evolves and as society changes, I think that then, like, I've got a situation out in Briarstone right now where this particular building that I just sold, they said to me, one said to me, we prefer only owner occupied. And then somebody else said to us out there, it has to be owner occupied. So I'm like, shoot, I know this person that's going to be buying it, wants to buy it as an investment property, wanted to fix it up. It needed a lot of work. So I called the attorney who actually wrote the rules and regulations out there, the covenants. And she said, no, you are correct, Jane. It does not have to be owner occupied. They can prefer that, but until they take the time to get a hold of that attorney and have those HOAs changed or the rules and regulations, the covenants changed, they can prefer it, but they can't do anything about it. And so that was a little bit tricky for us to know how to, talk to our clients about, you don't want somebody to buy a place and that they weren't planning on living there, and it turns out, or if you have somebody that has a little pooch and then they find out, well, okay, I've already bought this and I can't bring my pet here. Somebody forgot to tell me that. So there's a lot of different things that can go in on that too. So, but it's kind of a positive thing, I think, in order to hold equity. Any condo is going to hold equity, or townhouse or anything like that. But the more people that it can be accessible to, whether you have the elevator or fewer steps or anything like that, that's always going to be your good resale point, because not all 80-year-old people want to be on the third floor, even though they have the best view in the place. So anyway, so this is where we were kind of talking about out here, 610 Briarstone Drive, and we just sold that. So what they did, they used to have a higher HOA, but again, theirs includes the lawn, snow, water, sewer, garbage, and not exterior insurance on that. They just switched, so it's 600 and 610, and that was the situation. We didn't know that till we were going to closing, that they decided, again, just like you said, Michelle, they were having problems with their insurance companies. I think whether you own a house or whether you own a condo or a townhouse or anything, everybody's having problems with insurance now. I mean, it's just it's tough. But you look out there and you have all these, all the floods and the hurricanes and the tornadoes and everything. There's been a lot of damage through, and fires and everything. So that has really affected how people do. And I think on a single family home, they're getting even picky on, they don't want a roof over 16 years old. Well, I'll challenge you. Does anybody remember when all of Mason City got the hail? Do you guys remember that? You remember what year it was?
2008.
Nope.
It
It was in June of 2002. 2002. So if you do the math on that, there's going to be a lot of people that are selling their houses that are going to be, so, and not to say that some of them haven't, but again, mine was 02 is when I put mine on, and it's still okay, but they're all showing the wear. So there's going to be a lot of that going on. And I can say insurance companies are now wanting what?
Anything over 5 years old, you can't get full coverage for.
Okay, I learned something new, you guys. Did you guys all hear Jenna?
Oh, anything over 5, if your roof is over 5 years old, your insurance company is more than likely not going to offer full coverage. So if you bought a house right now and you went to get a new policy and they found out a ballpark date, say it's 7 years old, you can get partial coverage. They won't offer full unless you pay more for full coverage. Anything over 5 years. That's thanks to, again, hail, tornadoes, hurricanes, all of that. So I've been running into it across the board with various insurance agencies.
Yeah, and it's just so anyway, out here at this particular one, so when did we list this property? In March? And in January, when they all got together, they decided that they were having problems with their insurance company. Actually, their insurance company told them they weren't going to insure them anymore. So they were trying to go out there, find one. They ended up going through Edwards Brandt that they were insured by. And what they decided to pay less monthly. So that's where your 125 comes in. And then their insurance company, they decided it was a requirement that they pay it all up front. So, and I think if I'm remembering right, Laura's was just over $1,000 for her portion. And so brand new. So we're selling this in March. And, she didn't think to tell me that. I didn't. Again, we lost our first buyer, the long and the short of it, because the poor kid that was buying it was his first home. And he's like, you mean I got to pay what? She had already paid it for the year, and she was going to, and she wasn't going to ask for anything back. And that's one thing, if you guys do own a unit and you go to sell it back and you have the HOAs, and you usually get credited. You will get credited for what you've paid in, so you'll get that back to make, because you've paid out. But so then we lost that first buyer, went on to our second buyer. But then I just got to tell you this, because like who would have thought of this? So their garages are detached here. So there was not full coverage. There was not replacement on it. So when my client went to get their loan at the bank is saying, wait a minute, what do you mean there's not replacement on this? So there was not replacement on it. So, and then I found out, we find out all these little trinkets as we're going along in a transaction, that everybody that was living out there, even though prior to with their old insurance company, they had full coverage on the garages, they were still paying extra because it was so cheap. And that's the one thing I want to say to you guys. When you are in a condo, a townhouse, or something like that, they kind of call it like renter's insurance. And because it is so cheap, and it's probably, I'm just going to kind of guess on this. I bet you're under $200. Anybody out here that's paying on that, that's paying like Sharon, what do you pay on yours? Okay. Shirley, do you know what you're so what you're going to cover on your unit is walls in. So that, so that's going to be, I'm thinking it's probably 250 or below. Do you think what that's about it? So basically what you're covering is everything walls in. And I don't know at your place if you have to pay any exterior insurance at all, or maybe that's kind of figured in with your HOAs. Okay.
We were encouraged by somebody from and encouraged us to increase our own insurance, the inside stuff, in case there was a catastrophic something.
And did you buy into that?
Most of us did.
Did you?
Because it cost like $8.
Okay. Well, okay. Deal. Did that cover your appliances too? I mean, was that part of everything in there? And like if your appliance went out or something, did it cover that? Okay. Well, that's totally. That's good. Michelle, what were you going to say?
What this lady is talking loss assessment,
Uh-huh,
and you can have that with your own, inside condo or, what you call renter insurance. And it was cheap, and we were encouraged the same thing to, uh, $25,000, uh, for additional, payout in
Okay.
case that catastrophic, and like I just told you, the 80,000 that's not gonna be covered,
mm-hmm,
uh, for wind and hail, so that's what we're insuring ourselves for,
right.
So last year, it was dirt cheap last year.
Did it
It
go
was
up?
like 97 cents a month, something like this. Well, my insurance agent, he warned me, he said, they're gonna catch on, that this is something that people are doing now,
Mm-hmm.
taking this, loss assessment. So, yeah, it went up this year for that piece, like 20%,
Insurance, you guys, insurance is one of those things. I mean, you guys can probably all attest to this. You hate paying it, but when you need it, you need it. It just, life is an insurance policy, isn't it? But yeah, so I can totally understand that. But and then where you live, like out here at this Briarstone unit. Now this guy's on the top floor. He's a young kid, first home. This is his first home. He loves to kayak. He loves the water. So that's what attracted him there. And I tell you what, he has made friends with those two ladies, and I think one kind of takes him in cards. So she's very experienced. So it's just we're going to also talk about some different places where. Can I ask you a question on yours? Yours is not 55 and up. Am I correct on that? So you don't have to be 55, but you are.
yes, it is.
Oh, it is 55. Brett and I we were just talking about that yesterday. We were trying to figure that out because we had somebody that was looking out there once that had kiddos. So you do have to be. Is the whole complex out there 55 and up, or your building is?
And I just know about
Your building. Totally understand. Totally understand. Yeah. So that makes a big difference too. Awesome. Okay, let's.
the other one might not be, because I noticed the smallest one, that they have some younger people there, so.
Okay. All right. Well, you'd think because those are beautiful units out there. I mean, best kept secret in Mason City, especially yours. I mean, they're huge, and the room that you have there and everything. They're actually gorgeous units. And then, I mean, yeah, yes, if you didn't have your chairlift, you'd have to go upstairs and everything. But like the one that Jody bought on the other side of you, you look out on that, you're looking out to the east, and I said, this is just like living in a tree house because there's a big tree out there and everything, and it just felt cozy and private and big. They're all such different sizes out there. And the irony of it, go ahead. Did you have a question?
I was just gonna ask you, what is the name of that area that
She
she lives in?
lives in well, it's right in the southeast area. So you know where what church is at? Is at the
It's
Covenant?
James across the highway to St.
But is it Covenant, right?
James.
Covenant right there, that kind of the A-frame church right on 4th Street.
Snow is, the parking lot, it's,
Cabin Coffee.
yeah, it's right across the street from that to the south. There's a bunch of, they're like pinkish red buildings with white accents, and they've got big pillars. And
Michelle- Yeah,
Ambassador.
columns, big
Ambassador.
columns. Yeah, Ambassador. Yeah. And you know what? Those are, do you know right off the top, and I can't say off the top of my head how much square footage you have out there, but I know you got a big unit. Can you think, Michelle?
I have 1,600.
1,600 square feet. Yeah.
And then I have.
Oh, and the storage unit down below. I mean, it's just, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's not a storage unit.
It's not. It is not. It's your little. You can't say this anymore either. Well, I'm going to call it your little lone she shed, but because that is so cool down there. So it's your another little getaway, and they have a full basement in those. Are all the units out there with full basements? So yeah, and they all have extra. Do you have, besides your activity room? Is your activity room the storage area, extra storage?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. And everything's down there. And you guys have done, am I thinking right, a lot of update, didn't you just do the roof on yours out there not too long ago? Okay.
In the basement, the activity, I had all the cabinets and the building.
Yeah. You got nice digs there.
Crafts.
Yeah.
And then I had a tiny house down there, and I have a lot of furniture.
Now, these next ones that we're going to give you an example of, and if you guys can you guys picture, these are just south of Willowbrook. So they are, there's two streets out there. There's 9th and there's 10th. And Don Kipsgard happens to live right out there. Did he build his? Did he do some on 9th? And then on 10th, was it Benson or whatever? Did he do? I was thinking that he did a lot of them out there on there. That, you know, and on 10th, it depends on which side of the street you are. I think Sharon Steckman, they are on 10th, aren't they? But some of the people, there's a tracks that are behind there, and that kind of when you go to look at them, you see that and you're going like, oh, I happen to live right next to the tracks. But anyway, some people don't they're like, ooh, I don't know if I want to do that. That track, if I've been given the correct information, it's more where they're moving cars. They kind of use that, and they kind of, and that's near, yeah, out there where those guys are out there. But I don't think they get used a whole lot. But this is just south of Willowbrook Mall. And the funny thing is, down here, you guys, they have no HOAs down there. So you are responsible to take care of your own grass and snow and all that. But most of the people use the same person anyway. So again, and if you're not a big snow year, like this year was kind of a little bit different the year before, I always tell everybody, I think we live in a bubble here in North Iowa. Everything goes south or it goes north, and sometimes each year Des Moines has more snow than we do sometimes. But anyway, we're living in that bubble. But anyway, out here, these they're all in slab, no basements out there, and they're both on cul-de-sacs. All of them have 2-stall attached garages, and they are also different. And some of them have vaulted ceilings, some of them don't. And there is no, you don't know. It's just like opening up that box of chocolate. You do not know what you're going to get until you actually get in there. I mean, look at that one that your folks had. I mean, you kind of came in, you walked down the hallway, and there, some of them you walk right in, and boom, you're right there. So everybody is different out there, and that's kind of nice, and not to be the same. But again, they have no HOAs down there, so they kind of make their own decisions. Now, the one decision, this is a townhouse. Belva, I'm going to pick on you here for a minute. So you live in a townhouse, twin home, however you want to call it. I would say, I'm just kind of pulling this off the top of my head, but if you could say, other than crazy neighbors, what was one thing that you might want to think about as you're going into something like that? You probably don't even know where my mind's going, so I'll help you out on that. Your roofs are attached. So if you got somebody ultra conservative next to you, your roof is about spent, and then you're going like, and you maintain everything, and you're right on top of everything, where this couple over here, this person might not want to, they might not be ready for the roof. Excuse me, you guys both have to agree on that, because your roof, it's all one roof line, so you're attached. So like out here, I it just happened to, I can't think of this stuff on my own, had the same situation. One side was ready to replace and the other side wanted to hold off. But you have to agree, because it's can you half your roof? You can, but you shouldn't. I wouldn't do it, but there's been situations where people kind of threaten that, but it's really, really not good. And we're kind of showing you guys on here, and I don't know if you can see this one. This particular one happened to sell for $258. You're going to see, as you're seeing that all these different prices around town makes, sometimes to us, it makes no rhyme nor reason. you know, but a lot of times you're gonna go by location, age, and things like that, but, some of them, here we got 43 Creek. Oh, yeah, sorry. Can you have, no, you can't have a fence out there. But you can have pets out there, but you cannot have a fence out there. Yeah. And you can do, and I think you can't go wild and crazy on your landscape. So, and I don't know who decides how you are wild and crazy on your landscape, but you know, you want to conform. But out in the, so 9th and 10th, if you're on the north side of 10th and the south and in your south side of 9th, you guys are going to be neighbors, everybody right in there. And I remember Dixie Fullerton, we had hers for sale. And actually the people, it's kind of a cool thing. The people that bought hers, again, they downsized. They were in a multi-level home and decided that it was time. They didn't want the steps anymore. And so that they went into that. But you're going to see that out there. But there's no age, am I correct? There's no age restriction out there on your, but I got to tell you, most of people out there are over 55 that are out there, but I don't believe that there is an age restriction out there. So here we go. We're back out in Pebble Creek here. We're going to kind of show you this out here. And again, these are all different. You're going to have different floor plans. When they were built, when they were originally built, and all that whole area out there, Jim Thompson, does anybody remember Jim? He built all that. And if you built a house out there, so it was kind of, some of those houses are pretty cool out there. Back in the day when you built the house out there, you had to buy the lot from him and his company had to build the house. Now it's not that way anymore, but back in the day they were that. I remember they started out, well, there's not a lot of lots out there, but when it first came on the market, I think they were $50,000 for a lot. Then they went up to $75,000 for a lot, and I don't know what I mean, they're pretty pricey out there. Big lots out there. But out here, their HOAs again are going to include lawn and snow out there. They were talking about, and this is something new that they might, and so this is a might because it's nothing that we've been told. We've been told by somebody that actually bought out there that they're going to assess another $200 charge for the streets and the lights. And they have one area out there that I know that they maintain that says Pebble Creek out there, and they have one right when you drive into that area that says Pebble Creek there.
Now,
And
is that off of Kentucky?
that is off of Taft in the highway. So you're kind of tucked in back there, Homestead Nursing Home.
Yeah.
You're kind of right back in that area.
Behind Hy-Vee West.
So when they first designed those, what Jim did, very smart man. So he had all one area townhouses. This whole area over here were single family homes. And then what he also did, and probably people don't know this, but right behind Hy-Vee West there, those apartments, do you know what they're called? He built those too. So he built that whole area. And I think if he would have kept going, there would have been some more townhouses on that side, because there's only maybe like 1 or 2 lots left on that are buildable lots on the north side of the road where the houses go. But these over here, you know, they're beautiful units and everything out there, and a lot of opportunity to walk. And if guys like to be outside and do all that kind of stuff, now they're definitely a lot higher. These are probably back in the day, not that long ago, your Pebble Creek area and that Sunrise Edition out there, that was pulling a few years back, was pulling your highest price per square foot out there. Kind of crazy prices, but I mean it's different now. Bella, where you guys are at now, you probably, what do you think the last one sold out there? Under 400, am I correct on that? Like high threes? 3, yeah. So I mean, and again, they're newer and everything out there, but definitely after COVID, prices changed. The world changed, but prices changed too out there. But as as kind of going through that, do you guys have any questions for us of condos or townhouses or anything like that are out in the area, or like you've already always driven by these and you wondered what they were or what about them? Anybody have any of that? Any questions? Yes.
What's the difference between a condo and a townhouse?
Okay, this is the way that the way that I call it. And when on the townhouses, you can have a townhouse and it doesn't have to be two. They used to, for a long time, they'd call them twin homes, because you've got two on each side, one on each side. So that would be a townhouse or a twin home. You can have an upper level, on a townhouse. A lot of them are one levels. So what I'm going to compare, a condo is more of an apartment style, where you've got, you could have all these units in there, one main door coming in and out, and common hallways would be the difference on that. So downsizing options, we're just gonna, we're gonna get into a lot of the adult communities, I want to call it. This one here that we have, does anybody know where that's at? That's Timbercrest over in Clear Lake. Those are really nice over there. Again, age restriction over there. They are actually, when that was built, and I don't know, maybe you guys don't know this, but which used to be Opportunity Village, which now is One Vision, actually built this, and they own it. So they run it. So so it's connected to the main center out there where the Boyer Pool is and everything. So these guys have, they've got a workout area, they've got access to the pool and everything. There's walking paths around there. So where these are rented. So these are actually apartments that they have out there. Right across from them, which again used to be the cottages. Those cottages were all turned into townhouses over there. So it's its own little community. And so there are no how do I want to say it, clients or residents of One Vision. Everybody was mainstreamed, and they didn't have a choice. That was government backed, that everybody had to be mainstreamed into homes, and which, again, I'm part of One Vision over there. But it was kind of nice for everybody to get out and kind of be on their own more. And one thing that and don't ask me why, this is just kind of popped into my head, pops into here, pops out of there. But One Vision has a lot of smart living that they are getting into. And down the road, if people want to age in place in their homes, there might be an opportunity, I would say maybe a year out, to actually have, you could call it smart living in your own home. Whether you live in an apartment, in a condo, a townhouse, if you lived in your home for 50 years and you're still living there. So it's kind of set up like if somebody talks to you and they, like if you need to remember to take your medication, if they tell you make sure that your stove has been shut off, anything like that. So that's kind of the wave of the future, and they're doing that with their residents now into the homes that they have. So many smart homes, but they want to get into helping seniors, if people want to age in place, or just people that need that extra help. So that's kind of coming down the pike, and something I think is very interesting on this. But again, you have whether you live, here there's what's it called? The Gardens or whatever. That's right on 8th Street where you're coming in across from Holistic Harmony there. Central Gardens. Now, I think they're just, those units are actually called the Gardens. And the gentleman that originally was the architect and everything for them then went on to create Prairie Place for Good Shepherd. So, and I don't know if you guys knew that, but a lot of it, it's kind of based off the same thing. But what you have here, you guys, you have a great sense of community. You can go play, all the card games, and a lot of times they'll get together, they'll have potlucks and everything like that. But you're going to have definitely age restrictions. So you're going to have a community of kind of like, what do we want to say, Connie? Like-minded adults. What do you think? What do you think about that? Yeah. Okay. So this one, I'm going to kind of throw this one at you guys. Has anybody here ever been out to the Village Co-op out on Taft? Yeah, I'm okay. You were thinking about maybe shifting over there at one time. So they do, but okay, so let me ask you that. She said that she's been on the waiting list for 3 years, but that's because you're looking for something you're particular about what you want to go into, whether okay, and you can decide now. And let me, I want to make sure that I'm correct in saying this, because we've had some clients that have gone out there. When you're on that waiting list and they call you, they have one that's coming up, and I think what about 35 right now, I think is what we were kind of told. We kind of tried to do a little research that's on the waiting list right now, and that might scare some people away. You might not want to be out there, but we've had clients that at the right place. I mean, it happened so fast for them. They had been 12 years that they had been on that waiting list and seen things come up. All of a sudden, the one that they thought, they're like, holy cow, this is just perfect for us. So we got their house sold right away. They moved out there, and they're still out there. And then out in that little Eastbrook apartment, that was Jim and Pam Witt. I don't know if anybody knows them. They moved out there, and I just found out he's president of their association out there now. So, be careful of that, because if you're really smart or really active, talkative, you might end up to be president someday. So anyway, but the Village Co-op, they're their own bear. So if I say something that I'm not correct on, because as realtors, we haven't fully wrapped this around our heads, because they kind of take care of themselves out there. Meaning, they will, if you buy out there, they will sell it for you. When you go to sell it, then they will sell it for you. They'll go ahead and take care of that. You could get a realtor, like you love me and you want me to come out there and help you. I'd probably talk you out of that, because why waste that money, to do that out there. But so they're a little bit different. It's a little, go ahead.
I'm not familiar with the co-op. Tell me what purchase shares means.
Okay, so that's a co-op. So you do not buy your unit. You buy your unit. You're not buying your unit. You're buying a share in the co-op. Equity based, yeah. So whatever you paid for that. Now it's going to be. This was always I thought really cool. You can't, for what these guys have to offer out there, you're not, it's cheap to go into those, right? So the ones that you've looked at, and I don't know how long it's been, a year or 2 years or whatever, the one that you were offered or you were called on, what was the price on it?
I think they're all around 90,000. Well, there's a little bit cheaper.
Mm-hmm. And they definitely, yep, go by your square footage and everything out there. So, yeah. So like, and so what you're gonna buy a share in it. So whatever you paid for it, if you paid 90,000 for it, in 2024, you go to sell it in 2026. Each year, you're going to get 3%, an extra 3% when you go to sell. Am I correct am I saying that correct? Yeah, isn't that kind of a neat deal? And they've got out there, we've had, several clients that have gone out there. They've got a big community area, just like Sharon and Shirley, like you guys have out there. Do you guys have potlucks and all that out there where, everybody gets together and does that? Yes.
Are you allowed to remodel anything out there then?
I don't know. What do you think about that, Michelle? Are you allowed to remodel? I, I don't know. That's a toughie on that.
I was just at a friend's, recently, and she said you really can't do a lot of remodeling unless it's approved.
Approved, yeah.
Doesn't sound like you do it.
But you know what? There are nice open floor plans out there. I mean, all the sizes are a little bit different. And then I think too, and anybody, if anybody knows this, because I don't know a lot about them because, we know enough just to be dangerous. But when somebody new comes in, don't they come in and paint or carpet or something and just shoot them up a little bit? You're not paying extra for that. So that's just something that they come in and those are maintained. And oh, did you have a question?
Oh, sorry.
No, that's all right.
But, so then you're spending 16,800 a year? No. If you're paying 1,400 a month
1,400 a month, yeah,
and you're spending 90,000 on your initial.
on your unit. So it's cheaper going in, and you definitely are going to build equity on it. But your monthly fees. I'm going to call it a monthly fee. Is going to be higher out there, but it includes almost everything out there. I was just talking to a friend of mine that's been out there forever, and I think because your internet is, and she said,
I don't understand the way you have that worded. It says includes everything but electric, internet, water,
Oh, I
sewer.
should have put
garbage.
everything and then put internet,
It
water, sewer,
it
garbage.
includes internet, water, sewer, garbage.
it does include all that.
Not electric, not electric.
Oh,
That's what my friend that lives out there now, and I said, really? I said, but the gas is paid and everything, but so you're, yeah, yeah, but your fees are a little bit higher, but they have a lot. They have a big community room, and like Sharon, where you and Shirley are at, you guys, am I thinking this correctly? Do you guys have a unit that your family or somebody that's coming to visit you? Taft does have that. Taft does have that. Clear Lake, the Gardens, they have that out there too. But I didn't know if you guys had one of those or not. Okay, but they do.
It includes TV too, unless you want the upper pack.
Okay,
Basic TV.
isn't that something?
And then appliances, washer and dryer, if anything goes,
It,
they replace it.
and am I crazy to be thinking, because I had some folks out there that weren't as mobile, don't they have somebody, a maintenance person there that, if you need your light bulbs changed, they'll come and do that for you. So that's all included in your monthly. So
Underground garage.
underground heated garages, and don't they have I remember back when they were first built, don't they have like a wood shop or a woodworking place out there too? And they have a lot of nice amenities. Do you guys kind of remember back when they wanted to do the co-op? They kind of they ran into a little friction from the people that lived just to the east of them that thought, well, I don't want something like that next to me. I have to say, I think this is every time I drive by it, I think it's one of the prettiest, the nicest, well-run. They did an amazing job, and it was a nice asset to Mason
What are
City.
they selling around it? I know they got for sale signs up for that land.
Yeah.
What can they put in there?
Well, you could put multifamily in there if you wanted to. If somebody wants to buy that, yeah. And I'm thinking they probably owned all of that, thinking that they were going to maybe put another building on,
Townhouses or something.
or maybe another, because it's actually the people that originally owned the co-op that put this here. I think it was a company based out of Minneapolis, if I'm remembering correctly on that.
I know there's a gentleman once, he wanted to build out where the old brickyard was. Do you know if they ever did build out there? Where the brickyard was? Years ago.
Where can you?
I don't remember where he said it was, but he was trying to sell lots and have people buy it. And he says it was the old brickyard. And I just went there.
depending, it'd be kind of, in some of these places, maybe tough to put anything that had, on slab, you probably would be okay. On different places around town, people that have used, their old concrete or all the places that they've used as fill, those people up Carolina, from what I've been told, up North Carolina, that kind of used to be a dump, like a big dumping grounds back there. I mean, you wouldn't know it by driving out there now, but, definitely would be concerned on that. But I'm not for sure where the brickyard used to be.
I think it used to be, as I remember it, it was always talked about when I was a kid. I was at South Taylor, and then they put it like 8th Street and back by the pits, but it was further to the east.
Oh, got it.
Like before you get to Monroe.
Okay.
If that makes sense, like south of Grant Village.
Yep. Yeah.
Am I on the right? Yeah.
Huh.
How many units are in the village?
A lot.
Not
They-
enough if you wait 12 years.
To get the one that you want, to get the one that you want. And then, it's, if you guys are ever thinking about that, and I don't know if you guys are on the list, or if Michelle, if you're still on the list.
Yeah, I'm number 14, I think. So they call on, you start with one and then just keep going.
But you're not, if you say no, you're not going to drop down to the bottom. You'll stay right where you're at. So if don't worry about that. And they've got a gal that actually, I don't know what, Brittany, I think her name is, out there, that she has an office. And if people have problems, they'll go through her, and, I don't know if she collects rents or does whatever she does out there. But, to do a tour or anything like that, I've always been fascinated with their concept, and I was just like, what? But, it's really kind of a cool thing. And we've got special guests here today that are gonna talk about where they live. I'm gonna keep that a secret here for a few minutes. But some of the other adult communities, Grant Village, right there on 6th Street Southwest there. Now, they are out there. I was talking to the lady that manages that out there. They're subsidized. So there are Section 8, I believe it's called. So if you guys if you have a wealthy uncle that leaves you some money and you get money, you might not be able to live there anymore. But they are income based, and the older we get, the more we like to spend, and sometimes we don't have enough. So it's nice to have that available for us out there. All the utilities are included. They do have social activities. You can have a pet out there and everything. And they're all one level. So those are actually, they're all connected. You have your own door, so you've got a little bit more privacy out there. But still call them an apartment. Now we're going to talk about, again, keep on going on the different options here. Does anybody know what this is? Because I said to the girls, and I'm like, what is that? There you go. And I'm like, I had to look at that twice. I mean, does that look like it's in Mason City? Maybe downtown Mason City, where I'll behave. But there's two, Shalom 1 and Shalom 2. Now, 1 is just apartment-based, 55 and older. Shalom 2 is still facilitated through Good Shepherd, but they are subsidized there. So 1 is, 1 isn't. So 1, maybe if you haven't done good on saving money all those years, 1 might be, 2 might be a better option than 1 for you on there. But again, you'll have a lot of things that are provided there. Meals and stuff, Brett, that they have there, that you can have transportation services and everything. So again, so the one thing that there's one place here in town, there's several nursing homes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Kind of, well, I don't know if Homestead, is that more assisted or nursing home? A little of both, assisted on there. So the one thing that as we're looking at Prairie Place here, if you decided that you weren't ready for assisted living or anything, but you go in, we've got two sweet gals in the back that said that, that would talk to us about the what's it like to downsize, what are the benefits, what are the frustrations of it. So we're going to invite them up to talk to us. But the one thing that Good Shepherd has, and Good Shepherd, they're the ones that have Prairie Place, and a little bit different philosophy when you go in there. So when you buy it, you have to have cash. If some people haven't had their home sold yet and they have to go out and get like a bridge loan or whatever to go in there and have that. They have all different sizes units. I think they all, back in the day, they all have names for the different units and that they had out there. But the one cool thing is, if you're in Prairie Place and you decide that you need just a little bit more care and you want to go into assisted living, what do they call it? Priority access. So if you're into what they call their system, they can't guarantee you anything, but you're going to be prioritized to stay within their system. Whether you're going to go to like Kentucky Ridge or Cornerstone or somewhere like that you think you've decided that you just need you kind of like this gig, but you just need a little bit more help, and then you have that, and then as we age, then maybe possibly into the nursing home. But they are kind of set up, and that's the only one in Mason City. They were hoping for July. That it's called Shepherd's Glen. They're on Pierce. They're gonna have 20 units there. They're gonna ask for occupancy for 22. So they're going to have an atrium there. It's going to be kind of, it sounds like it's going to be really nice and everything. And why do I say occupancy for 22? In case somebody has a spouse or anybody, a couple that needs to live there. But again, it's just kind of nice to, nursing homes are full, assisted livings are full. As we all age and decide what's our next steps going to be, it's something that you always have to think about. But I do want to say, you guys, the one thing that's kind of cool, that you guys are able to make the decision, that your kiddos aren't trying to make the decision for you, that that there's options out there for you and everything. As we kind of go through that, the willows that we have out there, again, they have a system out there that you've got kind of more independent but yet assisted all at the same time that they have out there. You can have your groceries delivered and different things like that, but they have a nice social thing going out there too. And that's kind of the one thing. A library, they have a computer that, public computer that people can get on and everything out there. And it's so pretty out there. They got a lot of wildlife out there where they have their
That's out by Mercy West.
So again, and this just kind of shows here, this is again Cornerstone. We just wanted to show you guys the everything that's out there on our website. The whole slide presentation that Andy and Brett put together, they did a great job. It's going to be on there. So if you guys want to go and like, what did she say about that? Where you can go back in and just kind of keep an eye out and see what's going on out there. So we've kind of touched on a lot of those. I wanted to invite Shirley and Sharon up to talk to us, because what are the motions? What are the hurdles of quote unquote